Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Franchise Frontier podcast. Today, we're excited about some great guests from South Fort Worth, Stand Strong Fencing, Mandy and Joe Chapman. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your guys' time. You know, as we get into this, one thing that we try to touch on in the Franchise Frontier podcast is, tips, tricks, things that you've done, things that you've been through, all sorts of things that have led to where you are today. Good, bad, and even the ugly if we need to get to that point. So for our audience, if you don't mind, help us kind of understand your journey, right? What inspired you guys to become business owners and choose? Well, let's go. That's the first part. What inspired you guys to become business owners?
About 2 years ago, I had been in the mortgage business for 30 years. And about 2 years ago, Mandy and I really started talking about what's plan B. What do we do when it gets close to retirement? We're never going to just sit around and do nothing. So we really were driven to, we have built companies for other people. We wanted to build something for ourselves. And we started down the path, as probably a lot of franchisees do. First, we started looking at businesses we can just open on our own. And as we were heading down there, we had a contact that was a franchise broker. And during our research, we thought, well, let's reach out to them and just kind of see what franchising's about. If we don't have to reinvent the wheel, that would be great. And honestly, we started our discovery path that way, started looking at some different franchises. We were really drawn to the home services, as Mandy and I have remodeled, flipped, invested in properties the entire time we've been married. And that was something that really intrigued us. And so that pretty much got us on the path on how we started to go around looking to start a business and got into franchising.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mandy, I don't know if you want to add to that at all, or.
It just basically was, we had done so much remodeling and flipping, and we'd had a hard time, with finding contractors that would show up on time, do what they promised, and God forbid that there was a problem. So when we were looking for something, we really wanted to put our, stamp on treat other people the way we want to be treated attitude. And we thought we could do that in the home service and do it well. So that's what led us to go into, the ownership, is to provide the customer with a better customer service experience. And so that led us to looking for home services. And that's how we found Horsepower Brands.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, Mandy, can you tell me, in your opinion, kind of what led you to the particular brand? I know that we have brands at Horsepower. There's many different brands, but was there a reason or something that stood out that made you think, man, Stand Strong Fencing is really what we're interested in?
Oh, Stand Strong Fencing was a great brand for us personally, because Joe has all the experience on the sales side and I have all the experience on the operation side. And it lended to working perfectly to blend both of our strengths. We also love to be outdoors, and we really wanted to kind of put our stamp on improving outdoors and the customer service to people in that arena.
And Joe, for you, when you thought about the brand and you looked at the brands across would you agree that it was just a good fit?
It was a good fit, and it was a great opportunity at the time. When we were introduced to Horsepower, of course, we looked at some of the, introduced to the different brands, but Stand Strong was the new brand coming to market. Tremendous opportunity. As we started looking around our territories and our area, you started to realize the need for fencing. I mean, you watch a podcast, trust me, you're going to drive down the street and you're going to look at every bad fence today and go, oh my gosh, man, there's fences everywhere that need to be done. So that was really what drove us into that. We looked at different things. You've got the blinds. We even outside of Horsepower, closet organization, things like that. And I just never really could see myself standing in some lady's closet trying to tell her how to organize it. So fencing kind of led to us. We had the ability to get multiple territories, which was a big deal on a new franchise. As your viewers may know, a lot of seasoned franchises, man, they may give you one territory, maybe two. We were able to buy multiple with the idea that in the coming years, we're going to be able to scale. And that was a big deal to us. If we're going to go into a business, we wanted something that we could scale and grow.
That's incredible. I also believe too, to your point, as populations are growing, it seems as if, right, they're not building houses on as much acreage anymore, right? They're building houses closer together. And the thing that is going to divide up that plot of land is going to be a fence. And so I think that, especially where you guys are, they're definitely, it's a desirable place to live. And I think that that's going to be something that is going to drive forward in the future. So, Joe, when you think about your first year as the business owner, what were the biggest surprises and or challenges that you ran into when starting Stand Strong Fencing?
Well, biggest challenge was, you think it's a fence, no big deal. Well, there's a lot more to it. The different styles of fence, how to build the fence correctly, whether it's a wood privacy fence to chain link to vinyl to agriculture pipe fence. I mean, there's a lot more to it to build it right and to build it to last a long time for your client. Some of the surprises, I'd say, our business is built on a subcontractor type of model. So we're running the business, we're doing the sales, we're doing all of that. My installers, and I only work with 2 right now. So the first thing, it's always like, how do you find the subcontractors? How do I make sure they're good? It actually was easier than we built that up to be. So if anybody out there's looking at that, don't let that be a deterrent. It was actually easier to find good subcontractors, meet with them. They were open to let you go out and take a look at some work they were doing so you could see how they built a fence and their quality. And that was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. Learning the product, just learning the ins and outs of fences, what types of brackets are not only good, but your crews like to install, the different types of wood products, how you put them together, things like that. And one of the things I would encourage everybody is lean on your suppliers in whatever you're looking for. It's one thing to order your materials and pick them up, but I actually spend a lot of time hanging out or spending extra time at my supplier. There's a wealth of knowledge in there. In our side, man, they're taking me out. We're walking the yard. We're talking about different products they have in, how they install them, how some other crews use this product or focus on that. And at the same time, I've also made a lot of contacts with other fence companies. We're all up there at the supplier, in the morning between 7 and 8 loading up, and you get to talking to people. And they've all been pretty open and, ask questions, talk about different things. I've even found, hey, go check out this supplier for chain link. They're actually better than this supplier for wood. And that's been really eye-opening, and I can't recommend enough spending time with the suppliers. I also spend a lot of time especially in year 1, on the job site with my subcontractors. These guys have been installing fences for 10, 12, 15 years. And I tell them, when I'm asking a question, it's not I'm questioning why you're doing it. I'm learning why this crew does it this way and this crew does it that way, and then decide, hey, I want you guys to do it this way for me. And again, they've got a ton of knowledge. It allows me to be a better salesperson when I'm evaluating a job site, from what I've learned from my crews when they're actually installing the fences and things I need to look out for. I can't recommend that enough.
That's incredible insight. Man, there's a few nuggets I'd like to pull out of there just to chat about it quickly. When you go back to, I would agree with you, and I've heard from a multitude of people, right? Everyone seems to worry a little bit about finding the subcontractors. Without diving too far into it, what did you find were the ways that you started your search and found that it really wasn't as difficult as you thought?
So it was, and I'm not a Facebook guy, but I went to Facebook Marketplace and I typed in fence installers near me. And of course, a lot of pages showed up. They're all posting their photos. And I just started looking for the guys that didn't have a name of a fence company on their truck. They didn't have their placard on the fence. And I started looking for the guys posting photos of just them out building fences. And so I would just send them a message. Hey, we're Stand Strong Fencing of South Fort Worth. We're looking to add to our installation team this year. Would you be interested in having a conversation about maybe taking on some more business? Boom, boom. Oh, absolutely. Would love to talk to you about that. And so we some messages back and forth, a breakfast to sit down and kind of meet. talk about what we pay on labor, go to a job site and watch what they're doing and let them walk, kind of walk us around and show us the fence. And then as we are now rolling into month 8, 9, the second crew I'm working with now, they actually reached out to us, Googled us, saw we were doing business in the area. They had been working for another fence company that had slowed down. They reached out and asked if we were looking for anybody, and same thing. Set up time to go meet him in person, talked about their philosophy on how they build fences, their experience. I know more now, quizzing them on different things.
Yeah.
And so that's really been it. And we probably get a call, maybe 2 a month, of installers asking if we've got business for them.
That's incredible.
And so now you can really dictate, here's how we build our fences. Are you good with that?
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm gonna take that segue a little bit. And Mandy, I'm gonna go to you. When you talk about the Facebook marketplace or things like that, Mandy, you touched on a separate conversation. You touched on how important it was as a business owner to really start and dive into the organic leads, organic lead strategy. So on Franchise Frontier podcast, we hear a ton about lead gen, and we have a ton of questions. So I think about that Facebook part of it. And then I ask you, from your aspect of it when it comes to marketing, etc., how important and what have you done in your first 9 months that you've been going to really drive that organic lead strategy for you guys?
Oh, well, organic is key. You want to get to where you're organically generating leads more than paying for leads. We've gone about it in several different ways. There is the social media aspect. Horsepower Brands is really good and has a really good team to help generate some of the designs and creations for that. And then you need to supplement it yourself. So I try to get really creative and tie in whatever is going on with the season, the month, or whatever, and somehow relate it back to fencing. I try to look for jokes, even fencing jokes, just all different kinds of things to get out there and catch attention from people in multiple ways. And then outside of social media, there's always your print ads. I always recommend that you go look for some kind of print ad that's really local to where you live, that talks about activities in your community, local businesses, engages them in polls and in games, because it keeps the local readers, attention. And so we found a couple of good magazines like that in our territory that we use. We've, joined the chamber and we're really active in that. We've just tried to really go out and seek different ways to go out there and get involved in advertising and networking in our community to generate organic leads.
I think that's incredible.
I'd love to tack on a little bit on what Mandy said there, because
absolutely
she's even doing more than that. I mean, we are going to networking groups faithfully. We have we call it on real estate offices. I mean, one of our property management companies that has probably given us 7 or 8 fences in this first year. Mandy cold called them and just introduced herself, asked if they needed fencing support for the homes they manage. That turned into a big deal, calling on real estate agents. You felt like it was beating your head against the wall for a while, but Century 21 in our area, we've received 3 leads in the last couple of weeks from them. So all of that's starting to pay off. We're doing getting repeat business or referrals from clients. We found, actually have 2 jobs going this week for a construction company, doing the fencing on the projects they're working on. They're industrial, so it's chain link, but I've got 2 jobs this week from just out working and networking. And Mandy will tell you, we're still walking neighborhoods and door hanging. We do the magazines Mandy advertises in. We know where they hit. We know the target market. So we'll do a 3-pronged approach. And Mandy will tell you it's 5, and she'll add the 2 on she likes to add to it. But when we know that magazine is hitting the houses on the 1st of the month, we're doing a everyday direct mailer through the U.S. Postal Service. We'll buy a route that we know is in that same area, that they got the magazine on the 1st, they flipped through it, probably saw our ad. 3 or 4 days later, postcard shows up. And about the time that postcard shows up, we're blocking time and we're walking that same neighborhood and door hanging. Mandy will add on that, Go ahead.
They're
I'll let
seeing
you. I know you.
our branded attire is out there as we're fit to pavement out there, and they see our trucks too. So they're seeing us 5 different ways in a short amount of time. And we're really there saying, hey, we're here to help you, and the need's there. So we're here to help you guys, get a new fence installed.
And Mandy, would you say that you guys came up with this strategy by yourselves? Was there any like back and forth where you thought you took a little bit from this, took a little bit from that to create this strategy that works best for you guys?
Horsepower Brands kind of had a section, when we were coming through Academy that was talking about, canvassing and how they do it and giving you some guidelines. And we just kind of took some things that they said and just tweaked it out to fit into our area and just enhanced it. So we started with the training from Horsepower Brands. So we were lucky to have that.
Well, I also think that to that extent, there's no perfect solution, right? When you talk about franchising in multiple territories around the country, there's going to be parts of it that work here. There's going to be parts of it that work a little bit differently there. So I think it's incredible that there was at least something to start out with. I knew Horsepower had come up with some organic lead strategy and that type of stuff, but I was interested to understand how you kind of tweaked it in that way. I also think, going back to your social media comment, sometimes we overthink things, right? We overthink things. But to your point, to take a photo of your crew door hanging with your truck in a well-known area and post it on social media that says, hey, we're in the area. If you see us, stop by and, ask us about Stand Strong Fencing. Like those little posts, they may not feel as if they're the best post or the most thought after. But when people are what they call doom scrolling, right? And they're looking for things in their territory, their area, and they see that, it's just a matter of time before maybe they've seen 5, 6, 10 posts by you over time, and then they've never thought about it. And then there's a hole in their fence, and they think to themselves, what was the name of that company that I've been seeing? Oh, it's Stand Strong. Let's call them quick and see if I think that some of that stuff, you don't want paralysis by analysis trying to make the post perfect, but you want to make sure that you're getting content out there, and to your guys' point, getting out in the community on those Facebook pages and being successful.
I think the key to all of it is just consistency. No matter if it's your social media, if it's your canvassing out in the community, if it's your networking, whatever it is to stay consistent and let people see you on multiple facets to know that you're there, you're not going anywhere, and you're going to be available, and ready as soon as their need's there for you.
And Joe, it's also so interesting to hear you say that, you always tell people and you always talk about things when it comes to business where you say, in the beginning of the business, you're going to be working in the business. And then as you become more successful, you work on the business. But I'm intrigued to listen to you talk about, the fact that you getting out and being in the business when it comes to the supply house, when it comes to the in the field, of how valuable that is. I have worked in the construction world in my life before, and it's funny you say that because I can remember going to said supply house from 7:15 in the morning to 8:15 in the morning. You see the same trucks, you see the same guys, they're loading kegs of tar, shingles, fencing, whatever it might be, whatever the thing is they're loading. And you're right, while that's being loaded, the guys are standing by the trucks and they want to communicate. They're having a cup of coffee. Maybe it's a lunch, whatever it might be. You're creating a relationship, and maybe you're able to scratch somebody else's back down the road. And you say, hey, I met Tim from so-and-so fencing company, and my guys are out of town and I'm not able to do this job. Hey, Tim, here's this kind of happened. And then you start to create this network of people that just makes your business all in all stronger. So if you could just touch quickly again on what you found going to the supply house and being in the business that has just helped you go from 0 to 100 quickly.
But it's a little bit back to, what we talked about earlier. It's that combination of and I'm in the business right now. Would love to tell you I'm spending more time on the business. We'll get there. I do try to block some time. Mandy tries to pull me in. We got to work on the business. And you do. Don't lose sight of that. But as a new startup, in a business that we didn't have a ton of experience in, I felt like being in the business, that was going to be my education. That's my education on how to run my business well, which we've gotten more efficient. My pricing's gotten better. I know if I need to shift on a supplier, things like that. You've picked that up by being in the business, learning the product from your crew. It's allowed me to be a better salesperson or consultant. So when we come back and I am working on the business and I'm updating my products and my pricing, by being in it, I know I'm going to buy on a big job. You know what? I'm just going to Lowe's and getting a pallet of concrete there, because a pallet, their discount on it, I can't buy it any cheaper at my supplier. And the supplier knows that. So, hey, for the first 8 months, I'm buying all my concrete from the supplier. And now I've realized, hey, I can save about $200 a pallet if I just run down and have them loaded at Lowe's.
Right.
And so all of those things, I probably wouldn't have picked it up unless I hired someone really experienced in the business to start guiding me through. But we have always been big believers. This is our business. This is our future. It's our investment. We have to be all in. And so that's where I think it made a big difference. And that would be my recommendation. I know there are models out there where it's absentee owner. I'd have a hard time doing that, just because it's my business. I need to know too. Now, I'll eventually hire someone to do what I'm doing today. But even if I hire someone, how the heck do I manage them and make sure they're doing it right if I don't have a working knowledge of it? And
That's an incredible
that's just
point.
kind of what drives me on that piece of it.
That's an incredible point. And I think that there's so much value in just that, that statement. It's incredible. So Mandy, a question for you.
Mhm.
When you talk about your day-to-day, right?
Yes.
Your day-to-day, what part of the job do you find the most rewarding? And what part of the job do you feel like, man, this part always keeps me on my toes?
Oh, well, I'm real creative. So I like doing the social media posts, and doing the flyers and the different email blasts. And I like creating things. Keeps me on my toes. I'm an operations person, so I'm kind of behind the scenes when I have to go out and network with people. That keeps me on my toes. It gets me out of my comfort level a little bit, but it's essential. I mean, I have to build relationships. Everybody on your team, no matter what they do, have to be out in the public. They have to be seen out there, and they have to be sociable. So it keeps me on my toes, but I get out and do it as much as I can.
Absolutely. What about you, Joe? When you talk about the business, what part's the most rewarding again, and what keeps you on your toes?
The most rewarding is when we're done with the job and you're walking it with the homeowner and they're like, everybody's got a different situation. We did a fence for a lady that, had some issues. It was an area of town. The fence was down in the back. She was an older lady, and she would sometimes come out in her backyard and be face to face with, unfortunately, homeless people in her yard, kind of taking it over. And when we built her privacy fence and sealed her back in, her comment to us as we were leaving is, guys, I'm going to go in the house now and I'm going to cry. And I thought, man, that's a fence. But what it meant to her. So that's the stuff that I still really get excited on. What keeps me on my toes is part of what drives Mandy crazy too, is making sure the permits are in, the 811. I'm always pushing to get that job going. And Mandy's like, we don't have the permit yet. Relax. And so making sure that we have all the things in place to actually go do that job and make sure that we're ready to go. We're keeping the client in contact because, you get weather and that puts you behind. And now it's a trickle down. All the other jobs lined up. And you've got to get out there and get in front of the clients, explain what's going on and figure out how you're going to catch up. So the scheduling and keeping that on schedule, that kind of keeps me on my toes because I'm a big believer. If I tell somebody we're going to come do your fence next Wednesday, man, I hate to make the phone call and go, hey, it rained last Thursday and Friday, so my crew's 2 days behind and I have to move it. Because people, if they've got pets, they're trying to make arrangements if their fence is going to be gone a day or two. So those are the things that keep me on my toes. But the actual being done, and I don't know, I'm still that immediate gratification of rolling into a house with a really bad looking fence. It makes the whole house from the exterior look bad. People judge what they see. And when you walk away and there's a pre-stained new cedar fence, everything is decked out, it just looks 100 times better. And those are things that I really still enjoy.
I would agree with you 100%. I think that, you bring up a great point too. where, there are those process, and that's probably why you guys work together well as a team, right? There are those, yes, I've sold the job. Yes, I've told them we're going to do it next Wednesday. And Mandy comes in and says, understand that, but we haven't filed the permit. We haven't 811. And and I think that once you guys kind of settle into that, like you said, you're 9 months or so into it. Once you'll settle in, that timeline to sale to completion will be so much more streamlined, because you'll know it's got to do this and this. We're going to give ourselves a little leeway on this end and that end. I think that's incredible. I think, another great thing is when you talk about home services, you don't realize, because they are the forgotten fruit, we'll say, what they can do for a client or a home or an industry. You talk about HVAC. You don't know what it's like to not have a heater or an AC until all of a sudden you don't have yours. You don't know what it's like on a day-to-day for a lady to have to worry about what's going on in her backyard until you fix that for her, right? And it's just everybody through every avenue has a layer of stress that the rest of the world doesn't even know. And the fact that you guys are able to help with that stress, obviously through fencing, is incredible. Is incredible, and I give you guys kudos for that. Another thing I'd like to just touch on a little bit, and I'll start with you, Joe. So when you talk about, and you touched on it a little bit when it comes to being in the business and that type of stuff. So if you were to talk to somebody who was thinking about becoming a business owner, what would you tell them? What should you think about, and what questions should you ask before you take this leap?
Yeah, there's a couple, and I'll tell you, and that's what we went down that path, looking at different franchisors. And I guess you could also do that if you were going on your own and starting a business. Is, the basic model is there. You buy a franchise, you buy a territory, you've got some monthly fees, you've got royalties. What stood Horsepower apart was the support. I mean, from bookkeeping, integrated in, the bookkeepers are there, the technology is there. Mandy works with the creative team in marketing all the time, the team that puts together our websites, whatever else it is, our franchise business coaches that have tons of experience in fencing, the national buying power that we have. So I don't have to go to the big box stores and search through a pile of lumber to find that one straight 2x4. And we've all been to those big box stores. And
unless you're buying concrete, then you want to go
buying concrete. But being able to leverage my national suppliers for the wood, all of those things I would absolutely dig into. Yes, hey, we're going to put you through some training. I like the staying strong in Horsepower. What did we go through, Mandy? It was 10, 12 weeks of training before you even went to academy and things like that other places we looked at were like, hey, you come into town 2 weeks and you'll be ready to go. And that sounds great. But I don't believe there's any way possible that's setting you up for success. The other thing I would tell people, and even with the franchise, everything that Horsepower does for us, if you believe every lead is going to be driven to you via Horsepower and you're going to sit back and wait, you're going to fail. This is your business. Horsepower is the group we decided to partner with, but our success, that's on Mandy and I's shoulders. And if you think sitting around waiting for them to bring you leads or, I'm not getting enough phone calls, well, then you need to get up and go get them. And that's what I would tell anybody. It's your business at the end of the day, your success, and you're going to work, but it will pay off. I have no doubt on it.
Incredible. Mandy, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I would just, really study what you're going into and make sure that it's a perfect fit for you. Like I said, this, Joe could be in sales and I could be in operations, and it was a good team partnership for us in this business. So take a good look at what you're getting into. Does it fit you? Do you have the support you need? And then it's just really dig in, take on that support, and know that you're going to keep digging in even past that, because like Joe said, the ultimate success is on you. You have to do the work to get the reward. So,
yeah, I think it's important for everyone to realize that when selecting a franchisor or being part of a franchise, that they are there to work on your business with you, but it's your business, right? It's your business. And while everybody wants that business to be strong, it's going to take a team effort in order to really get the most out of that business all in all.
Yeah.
So you guys have thought about it.
We lean on horsepower to supply the support for the pieces we're not good at. And we're not web designers. Mandy's really good on creative, but we're not bookkeepers, man. Books, it's not, most people think of, man, I can't wait to sit down and do the books today. So find a franchisor that has that back office support that can really take on the pieces of the business that you're not good at or that you don't really like, so you can focus on the things that drive you and you're good at and lean on them for the others. And I think that if you're going to lean on a company, lean on it for that.
Would you agree that probably as a whole, you guys have been successful in life to this point as is. Would you think on a whole that there's a lot of things, whether it be marketing, creative, website, whatever that might be, that from an outside perspective looking in, we imagine that it's easy to just hire said company and these things happen, or do them yourself? Would you agree that there's certain things, and I'll lean on you, Mandy, on this, there's certain things for creative, for website, for SEO, that you think that they're small tasks, but they are a huge endeavor?
Oh, well, you know what? Just the social media is a big endeavor. I mean, you have to you're putting out stuff on a daily basis, and you have to come up with a lot of, content, So it's nice that Horsepower Brands has a social organic team to help you do that. On top of it, there's a creative team too. And what I like is I'm very creative myself, but on times that I can't do certain designs, on my own, I do have a team that I can go out and reach to and say, hey, this is what's in my mind. Can you put it on paper? And they're there to help me do it. So I definitely think that you need to lean in, on the things that you have available at your fingertips. Horsepower has it.
And also, to Joe's point, also lean on the things that you are strong at and use those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know when we talk about the home services, sometimes it feels like it's a little less sophisticated, right? In terms of marketing and technology. On the Franchise Frontier podcast, we're always interested in the customer experience. How do you guys feel Stand Strong Fencing is raising the bar with that experience?
I'm with the client every day doing the estimates and providing them the estimates. The Stand Strong Fencing software, what we call Fence Flow, it's outstanding. Yes, it's an estimating tool, but Eli has built so much into that not only do I upload my catalog and all my pricing and all my products, that when you're out on a job site, I'm taking an aerial view of the house, I'm doing my measurements, but then I go back to my iPad, map it out on their yard, plug in, whatever type of fence we're doing, and I can sit down with the iPad and walk through the estimate with them. And it's a detailed estimate, and it's a picture of their house, and the fence is drawn in, where we're putting the gates. I know what I compete against is a lot of times I don't have one in front of me, a notebook where the guy sketched it out, wrote, I'll do this for this certain dollar a linear foot, boom. Mine is telling you how deep we dig the holes, what type of post we use, cedar picket, cedar rails, how we build it. It is a very detailed estimate that not only can the homeowner take to their HOA if they need to get approval, but Mandy can even use that overview to get permits a lot of times if we don't have the survey, because we've had some municipalities go, oh, that's actually better than what we have. That's great. I know where you're putting the fence. Here's your permit, and roll on. And they're rolling out where you'll be able to superimpose the type of fence in the picture so the customer can see it.
Sort of a 2D rendering, yeah?
Yeah, the 3D rendering. And the good, the bad, the ugly, shame on me. We have been so busy. I'm behind on that. I need to spend more time using that, because in my mind, that's another game changer. People like to see it. They might visualize it in their head, but if I can show them, oh, you want it this style now, boom, here it is. That sets us apart from a lot of the fence companies we're up against. the interfaces in the technology to where they can pay credit cards through, the financing through, all of it can be done through that estimate that I email or text to them. They can approve it. They can pay via credit card. They can apply for the financing. They can tell me, hey, Joe, I'm dropping a check in the mail, or swing by and get it. Everything's contained. And then the jobs, everything runs through that same technology. So I
They
live
can
in
communicate
Fence.
with you too. They can
With
text you back and forth in Fence Flow. So we can communicate with them too.
So
Absolutely.
Mandy, when it comes to customer experience on your end, have you guys started to do anything as far as, for example, customer journey, as far as maybe some social media reviews or those type of things that you're posting on your social media when somebody says, like, for example, Joe does that fence for that great older lady, and maybe she decides, would you mind giving us a review? And it's maybe a video review that you post on social media. Have you got into that yet? Maybe you haven't, but are those some things that the customer experience as a whole, for the customer that you have, as well as the customer that might be looking at Stand Strong Fencing to provide them a fence?
We do use our reviews, and we do post them out on social media. We try to get it seen out there every which way we possibly can. Customer experience is the most important. Quality installation is really important, don't get me wrong, but we want our customers to have a good experience. And it starts off from the moment that they reach out to us. And, we set the appointment, and then we follow up with them and make sure that we have all the details, all the information, and we let them know that we're going to be calling them and letting them know we're coming out. So we start right there, and we call them before they come out. Joe gives them the consultation. And once they do the job, we write a thank you card. We're really glad to be working with you on your installation. It's handwritten. We tell them in that moment, and we probably already told them before this, but we're going to give you 5-star customer service. And if you need anything at any point in time, reach out and give us a call. We follow up with them every step of the way too. We let them know, when 811's been ordered, what to expect from that. We let them know when their permit's in. We talk to them about scheduling. We're in constant communication. And once the job's completed, then we send out another note with the workmanship warranty, and we follow up there and ask for, reviews and for referrals. But we set the precedent from the very beginning. We're going to give you 5-star customer service. We're going to stay in communication with you the whole time. And we follow that through so that we can generate the reviews so that we can post them on social media as well.
That's incredible. Joe, so
Yeah.
do you think, as you guys grow your business, that being able to provide 5-star customer service will almost be a precedent with people that you then hire to be part of your team, whether it be sales or in fencing? Is that going to be something that you focus on, where if this is one of the things that we do, this is what we do and what we are, so this is a major deal. As much as being able to work with a hammer, can you also provide incredible customer service?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether I'm hiring sales, project manager, that is, we talk about it all the time. My installation crews understand that too. And they're part of our team. They may be subcontractors, but we deck them out in our gear. When they're doing our jobs, they're wearing Stand Strong shirts. If anybody's getting into the model, my number one crew has been with me now about 6 months, solely. They do every one of my jobs. We're adding the second crew because we're getting that busy now where we need to do multiple fences a day. But we deck them out. When we get a 5-star review from one of their jobs, I copy that review and send it to my crew lead. I'm like, hey man, you guys are part of this too. This is a big deal. This is when the client says, hey, the crew cleaned up every day and they were super nice. That's not just for Mandy and I to put on our Google business page. We shoot that to Ivan or whoever and say, hey, you guys are part of this. And great job on you also.
Yeah, it's a thank you, and it's appreciation for sure.
Absolutely. And we know we've had clients say, hey, I went with you guys because I saw your reviews. And it matters. Everybody Googles everything today.
Yep.
Yeah. But we, like we said, it's not even just about the customer's experience. We want our crews to have a good experience working with us too. I mean, it's all about the relationship. People work with people that they like. And so we work very hard across the boards, no matter what aspect it is to have good relationships.
Yeah, I think it's important to, you are a a locally owned but nationally backed company. And that locally owned part of it is that family aspect. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job on that. So if you had to reflect back, right, if we were able to look back, if you could start over, what would you do differently to prepare for owning a business, if anything? Maybe you guys have felt like you did did your due diligence and did a good job. And then the next part of that question would be like, what's one lesson or mistake maybe from your experience that you think a new business owner should hear?
For me, on my end of it, I think the organic lead gen is something that you should start even before you open your doors. Really getting out there and letting everybody know what you're doing and how you're excited about it, and just start building your relationships from the moment that you decide, hey, this is what I'm doing, And so I would say if anything, I would have done that more out the gate. You're taking in so much knowledge. You can let that one slip away from you. So I'd say stay on that brand awareness and what you're doing. And make sure that you're branding at all times, that would
Absolutely.
be my tips.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I would say on mine, really focus on knowing your products inside and out, the nuts and bolts. Be able to answer those questions when that client hits you with it. What I would tell you is you're going to make mistakes. I have screwed up an estimate. I have misbid a job, and it happens. And you know what? Learn from it. Don't do it again. But you got to follow through on what you sold the client. Yep. And those are things I tell people. Those are going to happen, but just nail them down. Don't repeat them. If you repeat them, then hey, really step back, get some type of checklist. In our model, make sure I have all the parts of the fence in my catalog. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you'll figure it out pretty quick, but don't beat yourself up on it. It's a learning experience, still learning every day, still get a call for a fence I haven't put up yet, or a style or the way they want it. Don't be afraid. I used to think, man, I don't want to call up the supplier and have them do a custom quote for me. They're busy. No, if it's something I don't really know, I'll go right to the supplier. Here's my sketch. Here's my footage. Here's what they need. Give me a custom quote. They're experts. They'll tell me every board I need and this and that, and they will build out. Maybe it's a vinyl fence I haven't done before. Lean on the suppliers. They will do that for you. Maybe pick up the phone and call your sub. Hey, this client's wanting this. What would you charge me to build this style of gate? Go ahead and get that number up front. Make sure, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to tell people, I don't really know this one. Can I lean on you to do it? Because that's what they're there for. And build a relationship with them, and they will jump through the hoops for you.
That's awesome. Mandy, to your point, something that you said that I thought was really interesting, and I know just from being in part of the brands and those type of things, there's a difference in when you're getting ready to start this business and you're in onboarding, let's just call it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people misconstrue getting out and sharing what you're doing for selling, right? I think there's a difference in, we're not asking, you're not recommending that people go out and say, I've started a fence company, can I bid your fence?
Right.
You're looking at your own Rolodex and saying, hey, people in my network, we're excited that we're about to start this business. So while we're getting ready to do it, understand in the future, I'll be able to provide you as many fence quotes as you want, but we just want to let everyone know in our Rolodex that we are excited about this business, almost like a preview, a coming soon type of scenario where you're organically getting out there, making yourself more comfortable doing those things. But now the coming soon thing is out. Now you're going back to those people and say, hey, remember I talked to you about our business we're starting? Well, we're open and operating now. So I just wanted to let you know. It gives you a second touch point.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's incredible. Yep. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long, and I want to wrap up. So last thing I'll tell you, or ask you, I should say, when it comes to long-term vision, right? Joe, I'll go with you first. What's next? How do you see yourself scaling this? Is it more territories? Is it another brand down the road? I know it's a long ways off, right? I know there's parts of it, as we talked about, you and Mandy have to perfect your current operation, but What's the long-term vision for you guys, and how do you see yourself scaling the business?
I'll go from my side of it. My long-term vision is, and just to kind of set the level, we bought 4 territories. So I don't anticipate us taking any more territory. Not anytime soon. We have more than enough opportunity and where we're at for us to focus on that. My overall goal, and that will always be the same, whether we get there or not, I want to build the largest fence company in the DFW market. That's what drives me every day, whether we get there or not, but I want to build that. We will start to scale where I'm bringing in project managers, salespeople. Down the road, maybe another brand, maybe another business. I like the idea of building this company, get it rolling, and then maybe we look at something else. But I don't see that for 3 to 5 years. There is more than enough for us to build a solid, profitable, well-run business. And then once we're there, then yes, leverage that. And then what is the next step for Mandy and I at that point? And I would love to keep growing. What's the next one? What's the next one? Mandy may be like, hey, let's vacation a little more before you take on the next one, Joe.
We want to be a household name. We want people to know that if you call Joe or Mandy or Stand Strong Fencing of South Fort Worth, that you're going to be taken care of. You're going to be treated right. You're going to get a quality install. And we want to establish trust in our territories. And once we've established that trust, I think that, like Joe said, we don't need to add territory. I think that maybe adding services that our customers can know that they can count on us and they can depend on us to do probably would be a better long-term goal and solution for us.
Well, I think you guys have started something incredible. I think you guys have leaned in on one of what I believe is the most important things, customer journey, building from a solid foundation, and growing the business to be a household name. I think that is one of the greatest things that anybody can do in the home service business. So we look forward to watching you grow and supporting you in any way we can. I thank you guys tremendously for your time and your insight, and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having us.